The guest list is set for Trump's inauguration on Monday. Can't wait. Not Trump's favorite oligarchs, billionaires, are sure to be in attendance, but one VIP who's skipping the event is former First Lady Michelle Obama. Michelle's rep issued a statement confirming that the former president will attend, but not the First Lady. Is she right or wrong?
Yes, Lord, she is so right. She is so right. You know, she gave us that when they go low, you know, we must go high.
She changed that one.
And I think she's changed her tune. I think when they go low, you have to meet that energy and perhaps go even lower, become small like an ant and go to the Earth's crust. And what I will say is...
Not cross
yeah, well, what I will say is she said that she did not enjoy Trump's 2017 inauguration because there was no diversity, there was no color on that stage. She said there was no reflection of the broader sense of what America looks like. And many people took pictures of her, and she just wasn't in a good mood. But I want to show a clip of what she said at the DNC, which I really think hits home.
For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of two hard-working, highly educated, successful people who happen to be Black.
Yeah. And I think when you see that, you understand why she wouldn't go.
So I have no problem with Michelle Obama not going. I think that it's critical that all former presidents and vice presidents attend. I think it signals to the world that despite a very tumultuous political season, that America moves forward and we're going to have a safe and secure transfer of power, despite Donald Trump in 2020 and what he did after January 6th. But I think as spouse, she served her time. I don't think that she's obligated to be there. But it was also reported that Nancy Pelosi isn't attending. And I think it's a missed opportunity for two reasons. I think that, A, showing that the country is still going to move forward, even if the person you didn't want to win wins, even if you have grave concerns about who they are. But also, she is still a leader among Democrats. She's a sitting lawmaker, and while she's not Speaker, she's Speaker Emeritus. I think it's kind of signaling almost Democrats retreating when there is something powerful to showing up and saying, we're here, we're going to sit here, listen to him take the oath of office, be sworn in, but we also exist. There's also a counter and an alternative here. To me, that just feels like an odd missed opportunity.
Why do they get that, though, Alyssa, when Trump himself didn't go to the inauguration of Biden, his successor?
I was just going to say...
I don't actually believe in going to the Earth's crust or we all end up in the Earth's crust.
I was going to say, it's kind of like, as a parent, I always say, we do not let the worst example among us set the bar for us. We do better when we know how to do better. And so for me, I don't mind Michelle Obama not attending. Again, their family has given so much to this country. They have done so much that at this point, the tradition is the people that were in office, the presidents, the vice presidents, the senators. I don't care what Donald Trump does. I will not stop fighting. And if we think what Donald Trump is, and none of us here voted for him, if we think he is all those things we said, then you continue to do your job harder. You show up. You do the things. Like the fact that she is Speaker Emeritus, you're right. You do not say, well, they did it first. That sounds like, again, preschoolers.
Can I say something about Nancy Pelosi? And I can't believe I'm defending her because I'm like with Jill Biden on this one. But she's 84 years old. She just fell head first and broke her hip when she was on a Codell in Europe. She fell off some marble steps. She's on a walker. The inauguration is outdoors. It's going to be in the teens.
Yeah, if she gives that statement, because Barbara Bush and HW, Barbara Bush and HW did that the first Trump inauguration. They were both aging and said, we can't safely be there. Our doctors said we couldn't. That's a totally legitimate reason.
You know, what bothers me is the capitulation that's going on everywhere. I mean, at this point, Michelle, Nancy, Kamala, and Karen Pence are standing up against Trump. The men are folding like cheap suits.
It's the women. It's just the like women.
And by the way, I just want to say, this is not a normal inauguration. No. This is not a normal person. Right. He's a convicted felon. Why do they go as if this is a normal inauguration? It's not.
Because the weakness it presents to the friggin' globe when you have presidents that say, just because of this, we're not going to... America voted. The normalizing of President Trump happened when the American public went out and voted and picked him.
Let me say this.
The
Germans voted also. I think Michelle Obama is living her best life. And I think
Yes,
she
and
has
she
learned to
deserves
put
it.
herself first and put her mental health first.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of Americans who feel exactly the same way.
Yes.
Which is why news viewership and things like that have gone down dramatically because people are checking out. I think Michelle Obama sat there, did her job when she was the outgoing First Lady. When she was the outgoing First Lady, she had the Trumps to the White House. She was nice. She played nice. She went to the inaugural. She sat through that insane speech about American carnage. All her pictures are like, what am I listening to?
Yeah.
So I think this time she's saying, boo, been there, done that. You're solo on this. I'm out. I'm going to do what's best for my mental health. And I think she's fine to do that, you know?
right,
And by the way, and I think every American who wants to do that, if watching the inaugural is going to be bad for your mental health, go do something that's going to be good for your
Then
mental
don't do it.
health.
But I just want to add to what you said, Joy.
Yeah.
It's not about, taking your ball and going home. It's not about being childish. It's about normalizing a man who refuses to do the normal things that presidents do. And he is going to continue to do that. And I think that it is perfectly appropriate, if he felt it was perfectly appropriate, to skip his successors, rightful successors' inauguration. Also, he thought it was appropriate to keep that successor from coming to the White House and receiving him from the White House. Why does he get to be congratulated? Why do the norms apply to him?
But the point remains that 75 million Americans voted for Trump. That is the normalization. Nancy Pelosi's attendance or lack of attendance is not what is going to normalize him. And I think the sooner that we wake up to the fact that the governing reality, the world we exist in next week, is Donald Trump as president, and Democrats still have powers. There's still things they can do in Congress. There are still things they can be engaged on. But
I don't buy it.
I guess take your own go home.
Can I ask something? Has Nancy Pelosi said, I'm not going because I think he's a convicted felon and I don't want to be part of normalizing this oath? Or has she just said, I'm not going?
No, but she also didn't say it's because I'm too
so then
old.
we are
because
assuming that she's not going for that. But why do we know that she's 84 years old with a broken hip and doesn't want to go sit in
harping on Nancy
15-degree
Pelosi. We're
If
speaking
you're
about
80
not attending in general.
But also,
Who
she's
should
old enough to
expect
be a leader in Congress. I think she's old enough to put on a coat and attend the inauguration if there's not a medical reason she can't.
She didn't give a
84?
reason.
She didn't give
Good
a
luck
reason.
with
It
that.
seems to me that over every step of the way he's been let go. Merrick Garland postponed the thing. Every time you turn around, they didn't impeach him, and now we're going to inaugurate him. This is where we've come because people had turned their eyes away
Because
from
they've normalized him.
What he is
Well, I
really
mean, he lost an
representing.
or he won an election.
It is not a normal election. Stop treating like it is. It's not.
I guess it is a normal election. It was a safe, fair, and legal election. The
Yeah,
fact
but
that
75 million people. I think there's like 300 million people in
But
this
people
country.
chose not to vote. This is a fascinating stat. Hear this. 18 million people who voted for Joe Biden in 2020 sat out this election. There were reasons, they didn't vote for Trump. There were reasons people said, I don't want either of these options. So it's not just that Donald Trump won, also Democrats lost. Kamala Harris lost, Joe Biden lost. Like, that's the reality.
More people voted for Joe Biden in 2020 and Donald Trump refused to go. So 82 million
And they
people
peeled
didn't
off
count.
and didn't vote for him
Then why
again.
75 million, should count.